Hello everybody, Neffertity here. Now, today this video is going to be a little bit different because this was actually a recording that I did from my art class earlier today. Now, I've been starting these art classes for a little over a week now, and if you are interested in learning about art and seeing how to do certain techniques and paintings and all sorts of fun stuff like that, you are more than welcome to attend. My classes are 100% free. And you can find a link to my Discord in the description, which is where all my classes take place, is on my Discord, and I stream via Twitch. So be sure to check out both links when you get the opportunity if you feel like joining. Totally optional if you don't want to. Today's class was all about line arts, and I thought the best way to teach a line art would be to show it from start to finish. So in this little intro segment here, I'm going to be working on the sketch for the character that I'll be line arting. And since it was for my class, I decided to choose Neffertity because she fits really good with the subject matter that we were working on. So every now and again you may see me tab out into my Discord to communicate with the classmates. The ultimate goal that I think I've done for these classes is I want to help others learn from my mistakes and the things that I've done. It's been a long road for me to learn each individual technique, and I feel if I'm able to pass on some of my skills that I've picked up over the years to someone else, I will have succeeded in what I was attempting to do. I'm always open to suggestions for class lessons as well. Thus far, I have done introductions onto basic anatomy, we've done poses, we did facial expressions, we worked on a bit of backgrounds, and now today we were doing line arts. So there's all kinds of different subject matter. Eventually I plan to carry it out even further into something like, probably we may even consider doing sculptures. I might talk about doing costume pieces like the tails that I make or my gauntlets. I may discuss how to do just about anything artsy-fartsy that you can possibly think of. So if there's a suggestion for something that you'd like to learn, you are more than welcome to leave a comment below for a lesson suggestion for a video you'd like to see. I will do my best to try and record and edit the class sessions and upload them in a timely manner, but I do work 3 jobs, so it makes it a little bit difficult for me to get around to editing these videos and uploading them for you guys on a regular schedule. If I can get at least 1 video a week, that would be successful in my eyes, but if it comes down to not being able to, I apologize. Alright, so I'm finishing up the sketch here, and now that that's all done, I can go ahead and move directly into the line art. So it's always a good idea to make sure that your sketch layer is turned down to a lower opacity, and make sure that you have the line art layer above the sketch. Don't be like me, don't be dumb and draw on your sketch. And there's 2 different ways you can do this, one with a tablet and one without. The first I'm going to show you is how you can do this without a tablet. I'm using the multi-poly tool to create a line. To create curved lines, you simply do lots of little itty-bitty clicks, and to stroke the path, you just double tap on the canvas. So you can do this with a mouse, and it does work, but it's a little tricky. I use ALPACA to do this. So experiment until you find something you like. It's only recently that I've been able to get more control in my brush strokes to be able to freehand my line art, which is what I'm doing here. This is 100% free-handed line art. I like to use the pen tool on a fairly large canvas to create nice, smooth, sharp lines, because the smaller the canvas you go, the more pixelated your lines will become, and more blurry they will appear when you try to cram a bunch of little itty-bitty details into such a large area. So take it step by step and just follow your sketch as best you can. You'll see that in some portions here, I'll actually go out of the line of where my sketch started. I do that because sometimes when I'm looking at the line art starting to appear, I'm not entirely happy with the direction that the sketch looks, so I change it ever so slightly to make it better suit my needs. If you're just starting out line arting for the very first time, I do highly recommend ALPACA. It is a 100% free program, and if you're interested in getting it, I will leave a link in the description for you so that you're able to download that program. It comes with a lot of basic brushes that work really good with tablets as well as mouse, so you're able to do a little bit of both. I've not really experimented with trying to draw on a trackpad, so I have no feedback regarding that. But the program has quite a few tools, and I've used it to make most of my recent artworks, as well as all the little lovely chibis that you will see on my Discord server that decorate the page so lovely. Hands, the bane of my existence. I despise doing hands because I can never seem to get them to look right. They always seem to look just ugh. I need to do more anatomical studies on them to see if I can better improve them. I've been reading all kinds of tutorials on how to better do hands, so eventually I will get the hang of it, and they won't look like absolute garbage, but for now, garbage hands it is. If you do freehand your line work, you can see, like right here, I'll go through a couple of different lines trying to modify it to make it look a little bit better. I have to go for really short, quick strokes because I have a muscle condition in my arm. So if you're able to do these in a nice smooth stroke slowly, that would be recommended. You can see at the very top there, my correction is turned way up. What correction does with line art is it makes your lines smoother. However, when you work with a high correction, it's really hard for the computer to keep up with you. So you do have to draw significantly slower, otherwise you'll end up with like really sharp, jagged, edged lines. And I'm going to struggle with this hand right here because this hand just, there was so much about it that I did wrong. Unfortunately, a hand is something that I should almost always use reference for, but sometimes I'm dumb and I decide not to. Don't be like me. Use reference if you have trouble drawing a hand, or take a picture of your own hand in the position and then try to replicate it. That's a great technique. And you can see here I'm doing that same exact really that really quick stroke motion, and then I come in to do some refining work on the edges when it overlaps just a little bit too much. Take your time when it comes to doing line arts, especially if you want it to do more of like a cartoony effect, because the less lines that you use, the more realistic your painting will become, unless you're going for like hyper detail where you're drawing each individual scale or tuft of fur or just all these individual little details on the line work layer that you try to blend into the coloring. My drawings are very cartoony, so I try to make my line arts look a bit more like a stylistic thing, and they just help my drawings to pop a little bit better. Every artist has their own unique style, so it's important for you to attempt to find your own. And now I can move into doing all the little details that I put into my line work. For example, the texture on Neffertity's belly. Too many people tend to get this detail wrong. They think that her belly is like, it sticks out of her body like plating, but it's like ever so slightly a detail. It just barely sits above her skin. And then the feathers. Oh boy, the feathers. If you want a separate tutorial on feathered wings, I'd be happy to help. Just let me know and I'll see what I can do in terms of a instructional on that. I've been slowly bettering myself on how I draw wings over the years, and they've gotten significantly better from what they once were, but I do still have a lot to learn. They are still highly stylistic right now. They're not 100% as anatomically correct as they should be. But when drawing a dragon, sometimes anatomy doesn't have to be spot on because you're drawing a mythological creature. So It's kind of hard for somebody to criticize, it's a mythological creature, but your anatomy's wrong. I know because I've seen one in real life to compare it to. That's an argument that always makes me laugh, just because I've had it happen too many times where people try to argue that. A neat little detail regarding the feathered wings that you can see here is because they are relaxed, the tips nearly point into each other. If she was any more relaxed with her wings, the tips would actually intersect and they would sort of crisscross over one another. If you look at pictures of birds, the way that they pin their wings behind them, they do tend to overlap the more relaxed the bird is because of how the joints bend together with the long flight feathers. Excuse me, I'm getting a little tongue-tied. Long lines like this, when I freehand, are very difficult for me. I would highly recommend using the path tool if you haven't had too much experience doing big free-handed spaces like this. Save often. That is definitely a note. I save probably, oh my god, at least 20 times every minute. There are so many times where I've been working on a canvas and power will flick or computer will freeze and something happens that just obliterates all my hard work because of the corruption in the file, and I know if I save frequently, I will not have to worry about it. This curve gave me trouble. After I have line art for quite a while, my arm starts to act up and I'm unable to do a straight line the way I want it to or a curved line, and I'll have to redo it quite a few times until I can get it the way I want it. But trial and error is the best thing to do. Just smooth, steady strokes. This is real easy with a tablet once you get a little bit more experience, but if you are trying to do this in the mouse, the big thing you'll notice is that you will have little to no stroke pressure on your lines. Like in some spots you can see where my lines get really light near the end and then they're dark in the center. Especially in the fins right there, you can really see it. This is unfortunately nothing that can really be done with a mouse. You just have to deal with the one flat line unless you decide to go in with different sizes. And here's a fun little detail that you can do. If a character has, for example, a dragon, like if they have bone or spikes or something like this that are black, there are certain shades of black that are really hard to color and add effect to. Neffertiti's fin spines are notably darker than her black horns, despite how many people try to draw them the same color. Her fin spikes are absolute black, meaning they cannot get any darker than that. They are as dark as they will ever be. Whereas her horns are more of like a deep black. It's just like you can easily see shading on it and add highlight, whereas the fins you can only add a highlight to express the fact that they are a three-dimensional object. Now I'm going to come in and do her markings on her face, which a good way to do this is to select a color that is ever so slightly darker than the marking itself, and then do the line art on a layer underneath your initial line art so that you don't end up running over any of your black lines that you've spent so long doing, and just trace out the shapes. This is another detail of her character that tends to get goofed up. The swirl, wave, swirl pattern. Now for the finishing touches, I like to make the background a dark color so that I can see what I'm doing here. And I'm using absolute white to add just a little bit of shine and sparkle to any piece of her that is bone or some sort of plating or shiny or metal or just anything that would be slightly reflective. I like to put these little highlights on. I feel it just makes my line arts pop, and then when I do my coloring and flat and just it all kind of pulls the shapes together and it gives them a really unique feel. But with that, I have fully completed a line art. I do want to thank you guys all so very much for watching this video, and if you found it educational, be sure to click the like button. It shows me that you guys enjoy what I'm doing. If you have any suggestions for something you'd like to learn, or you'd wish to attend one of my classes, please be sure to check my Discord below. I'm always accepting new members, provided that you're there to enjoy art and make friends with everybody. No picking fights. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and as always, I hope you have a wonderful day and a fantastic life.